For the second half of our afternoon, we are starting off with Heather Forrest. She is a storyteller, an author, and a musician.
Gather round and listen for a spell. I have some stories to tell. My name is Heather Forrest, and I'm a children's book author with a particular love of folk tales and fairy tales. So all of my books are based on traditional tales retold. I have 7 picture books and 3 anthologies of folk tales: wisdom tales, wonder tales, and ancient and epic tales from around the world. And this morning, is it still morning? No. This afternoon, I'm going to sing you some of the stories from several of my books. Now, these stories, long ago, of course, you know well, were ones that people would tell, captured by scribes. These stories took root in literature and long sometimes to be brought forth again in living oral tradition. So here's a story that I heard when I was just a little girl from my grandpa. He would always tell me this story whenever I was just too grumpy. He'd say, "Oh, it always could be worse. Stop being such a grump." And I'd say, "Grandpa, why do you always say that?" And he said, "Oh, it's from a tale. My grandpa told it to me." And when he told me the story, I said, "Well, where did your grandpa hear the story?" And he said, "From his grandpa. It's a folk tale. And everybody who tells a folk tale retells it in their own way." So here's the story from my grandpa that I'll share with you today. I call it A Big, Quiet House. There once was a man whose house was very small. It was filled with things from wall to wall. Every day he would say in his miserable complaining way, "I need more room. I need more room. If I only had a big quiet house, I'd make myself a bed in the corner. I'd have peace, I'd have some quiet, and I would be able to sleep." One night, as he lay in his bed, trying to fall asleep, he could hear the gentle breathing of his dear wife beside him. And he heard his children. They were giggling in the next room, and to him, those everyday, ordinary family sounds were noise. "I need a big, quiet house." Just then, he remembered about a wise old woman who lived at the edge of the village. Her hair was white, her face was covered with beautiful lines. Those lines showed that she had been happy and she had been sad. They were a map of her life. "She's so wise, she knows more about the people in this village than they know about themselves. Maybe I'll go and see her and she can solve my problem." So he threw up his covers, he went out the door, and he went to find the wise woman. He knocked on her door. She opened it. "Oh," she said, scratching her sleepy head, "it's the middle of the night. You should be asleep." "I can't sleep. My wife snores the whole night through. My children, they giggle too. What is a tired man to do? Please, I have a terrible problem, and I'm hoping in your wisdom you will help me solve my problem. I need a big, quiet house. I want a big, quiet..." What does he think he needs? "A big, quiet house. I want a big, quiet house. I'd be happy with a big, quiet house. I require a big, quiet house." Oh, that's a simple problem to solve. I'm thinking, come to a plan. Her face brightened with a great smile, and she said, "Go home and bring a big red chicken in the house with you. A chicken? What's a chicken going to do to make my house bigger and quieter? But she was the smartest woman he knew. He went home and did as she told him to do. He went to the barn and he found his big red chicken, and wings of flapping he brought the bird into his house and he let it fly. It went under the kitchen table and he wondered, why did she tell me to bring a chicken in the house? He climbed into his bed, he pulled the covers to his chin, and he tried to fall asleep. But the chicken had never been in the house before. It looked curiously from wall to door, and then decided to explore. It crept out from under the kitchen table. It went into the children's room and began pecking. The feathers were flying, the children were crying, the wife was sighing, and the man couldn't sleep. So he threw up his covers, he went out the door, and he went to find the wise woman. He knocked on her door 3 times. She opened the door. Oh, she said, scratching her sleepy head, it's the middle of the night. You should be asleep. Asleep? I can't sleep. You told me to bring a chicken in my house. The feathers are flying, my children are crying, my wife is sighing, and I can't sleep. You said you would solve my problem, but you just made it worse. Please, I need a big, quiet house. I want a big, quiet house. A wonderful, big, quiet house. I require a big, quiet house. Oh, I can solve your problem. Indeed, I can. I just didn't tell you the whole plan. Now go home and bring a horse, a cow, a goat, and a sheep in the house with you. Well, now that's a ridiculous thing to do, but she was the smartest woman he knew. He went home and did as she told him to do. He went to the barn and he found his horse, and he found his goat, and he found his cow, and he found his sheep, and he herded them into the night. It must have been an odd sight, marching down the road in the middle of the night. He pushed open the door. In went the animals, all 4. There was no room in his house anymore. It was filled with animals from wall to door. He climbed over the animals, crept into his bed, pulled his covers to his chin, and tried to fall asleep. But the sheep had never been in a house before, and they were so amused at being inside, they began to sing. The sheep sort of a way. How do you suppose that would sound? Even louder than that. Even louder than that. It was so loud it woke up the cow. It was sort of an opera cow. She let out a long, melodious and that woke up the horse who chimed in too. Nay! And that woke up the goat who began to beautifully. And all of that singing woke up the chicken, who very quietly crept out from under the table, went into the children's room, and began pecking them. The feathers were flying, the children were crying, the wife was sighing, and the man couldn't sleep. So he threw up his covers, he went out the door, and he went to find the wise woman. He knocked on her door 3 times. She opened the door. Oh, she said, scratching her sleepy head, it's the middle of the night. You should be asleep. I can't sleep. You told me to bring a horse, a cow, a goat, a chicken, and a sheep in my house. There's no room in my house anymore. It's filled with animals from wall to door, and if I thought it was noisy before. Oh, they're singing so loudly the roof rafters are rattling. You said you could solve my problem, but you just made it worse. Maybe you forgot my problem. I need a big, quiet house. I want a big, quiet house. I require a big, quiet house. I need a big, quiet house. Oh, that's simple, she said, scratching her head. Aha! A big, quiet house will be easy to obtain. Go home and take out the horse, the cow, the goat, the chicken, and the sheep. I guarantee you'll be able to sleep. The man ran home and took all the animals out of the house, and he put them back where they belonged. And when they were all sleeping, he returned to his house, and he opened his own front door. He was amazed at what he saw. Well now, without all the animals filling it up, his house looked so empty, it seemed remarkably bigger. He climbed into his bed, he pulled the covers to his chin, and without the noise of all the animals in the next room, his house was suddenly so quiet. He could even hear the gentle breathing of his dear wife beside him. And he heard his children. They were giggling in the next room. And to him, suddenly, those everyday, ordinary family sounds were no longer noise. They had become music to his ears. As he fell asleep, he made up a song to remind himself of this night that went like this. Next time I moan the whole day long, complaining about what's going wrong, I'll stop and I will count my blessings first. You know, it always could be worse. And with that he fell asleep, because now he did have a big, quiet house, a wonderful big, quiet house. He loved his big, quiet house. He had a big, quiet house. Well, I've been asked as I travel actually around the world telling stories. Heather Forrest, how did you become a storyteller, and how did you become an author? And, well, I always answer in the same way. The answer to that question is simple indeed. Ever since I was young, I've loved to read. And when I'm looking for a folktale I might like so well, it's a story I think I might like to retell. Here's what I do. Go to the library, to the folktale shelf. If you remember this number, you can find it yourself. It's 398.2. 398.2. I've traveled around the whole wide world without ever leaving my home. I go anywhere my imagination wants to roam. I take a look in a folktale book and travel on the wings of words. If you give me a clapping beat, I'll finish my song. Soaring off to faraway places, ancient times, magical spaces, I find a fantasy for you. Check out a book from the library shelf marked 398.2. 398.2, a magic number. 398.2. On with the day.
Yeah,